This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Botswana Diamonds has got off to a busy start in 2025, last week announcing both the passing of all resolutions at its AGM and its application for 3 new prospecting licenses to secure key anomalies identified by its AI-driven exploration program. Now, today we're joined by Botswana Diamonds Managing Director, James Campbell, a Stockbox regular. Now, a very warm welcome to you, James. Last time we spoke to you, James, you mentioned that the company was planning to secure ground hosting some of the anomalies highlighted by your exploration program, which you've now done. Can you tell us what it was about these 3 new license areas and the Kimberlite anomalies that they contain in particular that made them your priority?
Thank you, Pam. Thank you very much indeed for having me and having Botswana Diamonds on our first session of the year. For the second half of last year, we commenced a countrywide exploration program using artificial intelligence. And how we did that is we had a large amount of our own data, 95,000 square kilometers of data, 375,000 line kilometers of geophysical data, and the list goes on. And then complemented with that is a very detailed geological and geophysical data set provided by the Botswana Geological Institute. And there we looked at combining these two together and looking to see where we would find kimberlites. And we particularly looked for something called Group 2 kimberlites. Might sound a little bit technical, but most of the kimberlites in Botswana are Group 1. The larger mines are Group 1. KX36, which is one of our discoveries, which was found by painstaking research by Petra, is a Group 2 kimberlite, and it's a high-grade kimberlite. In South Africa, we're working on the Marsfontein and Thorny River kimberlites, and these are Group 2. Group 2 tend to be very poorly magnetic and much, much more difficult to find. So we used artificial intelligence to look for these. We came up with 7 targets, of which 4 were high priority. 1 was already on our land close to KX36, which is no surprise because we found 2 large gravity anomalies at the beginning of last year, one being a 12-hectare anomaly, and very importantly, kimberlites occur in clusters, and KX36 is on its own, so it goes without saying there must be more kimberlites in the region. So what we did is we obviously kept all this information close to our chest, as one does in the exploration game, until we've actually applied for the licenses and got the nod from the geological survey that we would get the licenses, obviously passing technical and financial considerations, which we always have done in the past. So we've identified 3 in particular. The most notable one is actually quite close to Jwaneng mine. They call Jwaneng the prince of mines because even with the slight downturn in the diamond market, Jwaneng is still a highly profitable operation. And what makes this target particularly interesting is that we think it's another kimberlite cluster. So as opposed to a single kimberlite body, it's a cluster of kimberlites. It's close to Jwaneng and it's in highly prospective area. And importantly, unlike some of the projects we have in the Kalahari, there is very thin Kalahari cover, which makes it potentially more commercial if it has the grade and the diamond value. The other two target areas, one is close to Saroe, adjacent to another large company's prospecting license, which is interesting. They picked up that area not so long ago. They clearly have seen what we have seen, possibly, and we've got the ground adjacent to it. And the final one is in the area of Lorala. Lorala is a kimberlite in southeastern Botswana. It's where I cut my teeth. I was involved in the evaluation and the building of the first mine there many, many moons ago. It's in a geologically highly complicated area, and it needs something such as artificial intelligence to find other kimberlites in that area. So that is our third and final target. And as I mentioned, we applied for the licenses. They were basically accepted We haven't been granted them yet by the Geological Survey, but now we have to go through the process hoops of proving our technical credibility and our financial capacity to get the licenses.
Right. So how long until you expect to secure the licenses? I mean, and what will be your next steps from there? Can you get on the ground straight away?
Pam, it's a good question. In Botswana, you typically have acceptance of those licenses within 3 months. It's a very good jurisdiction, and it's a very predictable process, and that's really important. So following that, yes, we hope to be boots on the ground straight away after 3 months, and our first step would probably be detailed gravity surveys over the targets to prove them or not before taking it to the next step, which will undoubtedly be drilling.
Yeah. So is the company looking to secure any other new ground covering the Kimberlite anomalies it's highlighted? And likewise, is your AI-driven exploration continuing? And do you expect to continue growing your bank of anomalies?
Pam, as we mentioned in our press release, we identified 7 Kimberlite targets, of which 1 is on our ground, 3 are in applications, so that's 4. 3 sit on other people's ground. So, of course, we keep that very close to our chest. And our current thinking is, depending on the results of what we achieve from the 4, yes, we may go and talk to those other parties. We may not. Let's see how we go. But that's certainly not the end of our artificial intelligence study. Because of the wealth of data that we have from our own company's data, and it's not just Botswana Diamonds, it's the predecessor company, African Diamonds, of which I was MD and John Teeling was chairman. So we go back almost 20 years in terms of our data, plus the data that we acquired from Sikaka, plus the wonderful data provided by the Geological Survey. It would be remiss if we didn't actually look for targets outside of diamonds. And we've been looking for things such as PGM targets in the south of the country, gold in the east and the southeast, copper in the central and the west, and iron ore in the northwest, because Botswana is host to many other minerals above and beyond diamonds. But we are a diamond company, so we focus on diamonds, but we certainly leverage our database, our expertise, and our networks to other minerals too as well.
Yeah, so you mentioned those other minerals. Now we know Botswana Diamond has got off to a busy start this year. So alongside the new licenses, you've just given us a bit of a rundown there on some of the work you're planning across your wider portfolio. I mean, how you've just touched on it there. Can you just expand on that a little bit? What work are you planning across your wider portfolio?
Across the wider portfolio, Pam, we've got 2 other major countries of interest. If I look at South Africa first, shareholders will be aware of our license application on Thorny River, a mining permit application which has been outstanding for some 2.5 years now. We have very good indications that it will be granted within the next couple of months. And that's not just me saying it. We had environmental approval in December of last year. And environmental approval is basically a precursor to granting of the license after following some short processes, which we've actually done and completed now as well. So I hope that one of the Thorny River licenses will be approved within the next kind of couple of months. We also have a very exciting prospecting license close by Thorny River at Marsfontein, where we have something called M3, which is a blow on the Kimberlite dike. Now that might sound very technical and academic, but Marsfontein, which had the world's fastest payback of any mine of 3.5 days. Yeah, 3.5 days if you sunk your capital in exploration, was a blow on the Kimberlite dike. And this is just next door. So that's something that we actually wish to explore. And the other project we're looking at is something called Ray Velo. This is a cluster of kimberlites in the Northern Cape. If it was in Botswana or elsewhere, we may be doing a lot more work on it already. We acquired this project straight after Petra dropped the ground. And as part of our deal with Petra, we acquired their drill core. So we've been able to fast track that project all the way through to micro diamond recovery. We've collected the kimberlite core for micro diamond recovery. So the next step on that is to do micro diamond work on the core, which will give a preliminary indication of the commerciality of those kimberlites.
Well, very, very busy then. Very busy days at the moment for Botswana Diamonds. But I thought an interesting part of the company's recent annual results were Chairman John Teeling's comment on his optimism for the diamond sector. In particular, his comments that the increasing size of the global middle class will offset the impact of lab-grown diamonds on the traditional mined market. Now, can you tell us a little bit more about this, James? And how does it play into the company's strategy?
Absolutely, Pam. And I was remiss in my last answer not to complete the question. In our presentation, towards the end of the presentation, we've spoken about Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, we believe as to be as prospective as South Africa and Botswana. But because of access to ground, companies have not been able to go there and access the ground and use modern diamond exploration techniques. We've been in advanced discussions for some time now with some wonderful local partners and the authorities in terms of being able to secure ground. So we really hope we can get some kind of traction on that within the first quarter. But to your question on what John's actually saying, yes, we saw a significant rise in the diamond market post-COVID. No, not surprisingly, because people went out and got engaged. Subsequent to that, we've seen quite a dramatic fall because of the preponderance of lab-grown diamonds, particularly in the United States market. But what we are now beginning to see, like the fruits of spring, is that your consumers want something which is genuine and authentic and real. And you can't, and maybe I'm being horribly old-fashioned here, you can't go and start the beginning of a lifelong relationship with something synthetic born in a laboratory, or it's actually not a laboratory, but a factory in an industrial press. You want something that's authentic, it's real, it's rare.
Real diamonds,
unique. Because each natural diamond is unique, and it was born in the earth, in the bowels of the earth, over 3 billion years ago. So that is one of the best ways to actually start a long-term relationship. And we're beginning to see the signs of the natural market beginning to come back. And I compliment De Beers here because they've been doing some very strong marketing in terms of natural diamonds, which is really important because the consumers need to be aware of the value proposition of natural diamonds. There will always be a market for lab grown, but it will be in costume jewelry, in my view, and for maybe kids starting out, but it's not something as serious as a diamond engagement, a diamond marriage, or a diamond anniversary. So we're seeing that beginning to turn. And our perspective, summarizing what John was saying, is that we're probably a contrarian play at the moment, is that, the best time to buy are when things are at the bottom or close to the bottom. This is where we believe we are at the moment. History shows us that, before the kind of dawn, things are actually quite bad. We see the dawn beginning to approach, and we feel this is a great opportunity to get into an undervalued diamond stock into what is the Switzerland of Africa, which is Botswana.
Yes. Well, I'm just going to finish off, James, by bringing you back to something that you were talking about earlier, because I'd like to explore this a little bit more with you, because another interesting point highlighted on your recent release is the potential for your AI-driven exploration strategy to highlight prospectivity for valuable minerals other than diamonds. Now, you have touched on this and you told us about some of the other things that you are looking at, some of the other, minerals that you're looking at there. Is this something that you'll be incorporating into your exploration more moving forward? And how's it looking?
Pam, absolutely so. If I look at the AI-driven exploration process, the first stage is to give general target areas. The second stage after that is to hone in those general target areas to produce specific targets. And the final stage is to take those selected targets for license application. We've already done the general work, which is we're enormously excited about. That we often feel that Botswana is diamonds and diamonds is Botswana, of course, and it will always actually be that way if you look at the longevity of particular the Botswana operations. But there is so much more in terms of exploration and mining than diamonds in Botswana. So it would be remiss of us if we weren't to leverage, our extensive database, our knowledge, our networks, our contacts to actually look at this. And my plan is to actually drill down into these general target areas to produce specific targets. And once we've done that, make license applications or joint ventures, depending on where we find the targets. And only then we'll be in a position to actually make any form of announcement.
Wonderful. Well, John, do you know what? It sounds like exciting times. Thank you so much. James, for coming on. And I'm thinking of John Teeling here. But thank you so much for coming on and speaking to us today at Stockbox.
I'm honoured that you refer to me as John. Dividing entrepreneur. Thank you very much for having me, Pam. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.